And the truth is, this collapse might not happen because of one big mistake. It might happen because of many small ones that are stacking up quietly in the background. Even more shocking, the person who may be pushing her closer to the edge is someone she thought she could always outsmart, Cami Miller. By the time the truth finally becomes clear, it may already be too late for Cami to stop the damage. And if the signs in Season 3 are correct, Cami Miller could soon lose the one thing she values more than anything else in Wellsbury: her power. For a long time, Cami Miller has been one of the most powerful people in the town. In the world of Ginny and Georgia, Wellsbury is a place where status means everything. People care about reputation, money, and influence. And Cami has always had all. 3. Her family name carries weight in the town, and her wealth allows her to live a life that most people around her can only dream about. From the outside, she represents the image of success. She hosts events, speaks with confidence, and carries herself like someone who will always stay on top. But power like that comes with pressure. In a place like Wellsbury, people expect Cami to always be in control. She cannot show weakness. She cannot allow others to think that her position is slipping. This pressure becomes even stronger when politics enters the picture. Once Cami begins pushing for more control over the town's future, her reputation becomes tied to winning. Losing would not only damage her political dreams, but also her image as someone who always gets what she wants. This is where the situation slowly starts becoming dangerous. To keep her strong image, Cami begins spending more and more money on things that protect her influence. Campaign efforts, public appearances, events, and strategies all cost money, a lot of money. And in politics, spending rarely stops once it begins. Every new problem requires another solution, and every solution often requires another payment. At first, these expenses may not seem like a problem. Someone like Cami has always had access to wealth, but money can disappear faster than people expect, especially when pride and competition are involved. Instead of slowing down, Cami appears to push even harder. She wants to dominate the political scene and make sure no one challenges her position. The problem is that power battles rarely stay simple. Once a rival appears, the costs of winning increase dramatically. Cami is not just protecting her reputation anymore. She is fighting to make sure someone else does not take her place. And that fight slowly begins draining resources that even someone like her may struggle to replace. What makes this situation even more risky is the type of opponent she is dealing with. In Wellsbury, many people underestimate Cami Miller. But Cami knows better than most that Georgia is not someone who backs down easily. Georgia has a way of surviving situations that would destroy other people. And that means Cami cannot treat this conflict lightly. Instead of backing away, she chooses to go all in. She wants to control the narrative, control the town, and control how people see her. But every step she takes to protect her power also increases the financial pressure behind the scenes. The public only sees the confident version of Cami Miller, the woman who appears to have everything under control. What they do not see is the growing cost of maintaining that image, the expensive decisions, the risky moves, and the constant need to stay ahead of her rivals slowly begin to build a dangerous situation. And while Wellsbury continues to admire her power, the foundation supporting that power may already be starting to crack. Cami Miller's life in Season 3 is not just about politics. It's also about the image she maintains in Wellsbury society. To her neighbors and supporters, she seems untouchable, elegant, successful, and always a step ahead. But behind closed doors, things are starting to unravel. Every decision she makes now has consequences, and the pressure to appear flawless is driving her into risky territory. She spends lavishly to maintain appearances, throwing money at events, campaigns, and social gatherings that are meant to display her power and influence. But these outward displays hide a deeper problem. The more she spends to look strong, the weaker her financial position becomes. It's a subtle spiral, almost invisible to those who only see her confident public persona. Her obsession with control is another factor that is quietly costing her. Cami is not just competing in the political arena. She is competing socially, financially, and emotionally. She wants to dominate every aspect of her life and ensure no one can ever outshine her. This desire for dominance pushes her to make choices that appear strategic, but are incredibly expensive. For instance, funding high-profile campaigns, hiring consultants, and managing public perception require more money than she likely anticipated. Each move she makes seems calculated to secure her power. Yet these calculations ignore the long-term financial strain. It's like she's trapped in a game where the price of winning keeps rising, and each victory comes at a cost she can barely manage. The rivalry with Cami Miller further escalates the tension. Cami perceives Georgia not just as a competitor, but as a threat to her entire identity. She feels that any success Georgia achieves diminishes her own influence, and that thought alone compels her to spend more and take greater risks. Hiring investigators, strategizing to undermine Georgia, and investing in media campaigns all demand a level of financial commitment that begins to exceed what she can reasonably sustain. While these tactics are meant to preserve her dominance, they inadvertently set the stage for financial vulnerability. Cami is so focused on defeating Georgia in every sphere that she fails to notice the invisible cracks forming in her empire. Family obligations add another layer to her growing financial stress. Cami is expected to maintain a certain lifestyle, not just for herself, but for her family and social circle. From extravagant parties to the upkeep of her estate, every expense reinforces the image of wealth, yet it simultaneously drains her resources. Unexpected costs, whether related to family, legal issues, or social appearances, accumulate quietly, creating a pressure cooker situation. This is the kind of financial strain that doesn't announce itself with a single dramatic moment. Instead, it creeps in slowly, like water seeping through cracks, and by the time it becomes obvious, the foundation is already compromised. Despite all this, Cami projects confidence. She knows how to manipulate appearances, how to convince the town that she is unshakable, and how to maintain authority even when her resources are stretched thin. This mastery of perception allows her to keep control in the short term. Yet her reliance on image over reality is precisely what makes her vulnerable. In Season 3, the audience begins to see that Cami's wealth and influence are not as secure as she believes. Every lavish party, every political maneuver, and every calculated move to undermine Georgia serves as both a display of power and a sign of financial overextension. In other words, while Cami appears to be winning, the invisible costs of her decisions are accumulating rapidly, setting her up for a potential fall that could change everything in Wellsbury. The key here is that Cami's financial decline is not sudden. There is no single mistake or misstep that will cause her to go bankrupt. Instead, it is the result of many interconnected factors. The relentless need to maintain her public image, the high-stakes political rivalry, the pressure to support her family and social expectations, and the obsessive desire to control Georgia. Each factor alone might be manageable, but together they form a perfect storm. Season 3 shows the audience subtle clues of this mounting pressure. Quick flashes of financial strain, moments of personal stress, and decisions that hint at desperation. If viewers pay close attention, it becomes clear that Cami's empire, while still appearing solid, is beginning to crumble from within. This section of her story is crucial because it shifts the focus from Cami as an untouchable figure to Cami as a character under immense pressure. The tension is not just about losing a political battle. It is about the slow erosion of everything she values: power, wealth, reputation, and control. Each interaction with Georgia, each expensive campaign choice, and each effort to maintain her status serves as both a strategy and a warning. By the end of this season, the audience starts to understand that Cami's downfall may not be caused by a single dramatic event, but by the cumulative weight of years of decisions, obligations, and rivalries that have quietly eaten away at her financial and emotional stability.